Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of my channel Deep's One Man Adventures. In today's episode, I am going to discuss about a traveler to India who made it his home. Now suppose I tell you that you are someone who is born to a farmer in Denmark, and then you leave your formal education at the age of just 14. Then you work in as a small-time farmhand or assistant in a shop in various countries all over Europe. Then you land up in England, where by accident you meet a famous Indian poet. And after meeting that poet, you get the idea about India and decide to come here. And then after coming here, you meet the family of the Prime Minister. You are given a piece of land on a gorgeous and absolutely marvelous mountain where you meditate. Then you are invited to America, where you die in a plane crash, say in the 1984, after having become quite well known for your association with Buddhism and classical Hinduism and different types of meditation practices, and having written many books. Was there actually such a person who fits all these descriptions? Yes, there was, and his name was Alfred Emanuel Sørensen. He took another name after settling in India, and that name was Sunyata. Now, Sunyata basically means emptiness. In the English translation of the word Sunyata is emptiness. However, in Buddhist philosophy, it means lots of other things. This video is not a place where I want to get into the meaning of that word, but that is the name Alfred Sørensen of Denmark, about whom this video is, took later in life after coming to India in the 1970s and settling down here. Sorensen came to India first, mind you, in 1933, after having met Rabindranath Tagore, the famous Indian poet, when he was working at an estate in England as a gardener. He shared many of his interests in music, including recordings of Beethoven and Mozart, with the famous Indian poet Tagore, who was the first Asian, you might recall, to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913, besides being an accomplished musician and painter. The two clicked together, they had a very good chemistry, and Tagore invited Sorensen to come to India at his garden school, the World University, which is famous as Shantiniketan. Sorensen did come and visit Tagore and stayed 3 years at his country school, the World University Shantiniketan, starting from 1933. In turn, Tagore introduced him to the famous Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. Nehru was not yet Prime Minister at that time. He was a top leader of the Indian freedom struggle. And after coming into touch with the Nehru family and having spent a brief holiday at an estate called Khali Estate, which was a property belonging to Jawaharlal Nehru's sister, near a place called, a gorgeous place in the Himalayas called Kasar, which is located currently in the Indian state of Uttarakhand, Sorensen decided that this was the place for him. He is supposed to have settled for many years and meditated, having built a cottage at a place today famous as Crank's Ridge. It's a very odd name, isn't it? Crank basically means a crazy person. That gorgeous place, one of the most energetic places on this planet Earth, is called Crank's Ridge. I'll come to that later. Sorensen made a cottage there, in the original name of the ridge being Kalimat Ridge. It's a famous place where great Indian spiritual figures, especially the well-known monk in the West, Swami Vivekananda, the great philosopher and Indian monk who introduced Hindu teachings and Hindu stories to the Western world, meditated there for a long time, as did Timothy Leary, the famous American psychedelic pioneer. People like the American poet Allen Ginsberg, people like the uh, great writer, great writer David Henry Lawrence, D.H. Lawrence, who wrote The Rainbow. Many other famous Western and Indian figures had meditated on that hill called Kasar Devi, which is having a temple dedicated to one incarnation of the Hindu goddess Durga, a tremendous form of Shakti. Now, Shakti basically stands for energy in Indian tradition, and Kasar Devi is one of the few places on earth, besides Stonehenge in England and Machu Picchu in Peru, which is actually exposed without any barrier to the cosmic rays coming from space. That high hill in Uttarakhand, which is today called Kasar Devi, it is near that place that Sorensen built his cottage and stayed there for a number of years meditating, writing. A remarkable story from Denmark, a farmer's son in Denmark, to a garden in England, to this fantastic mountaintop in India, which is still an extremely attractive tourist place. Basically, this was Alfred Sørensen, who later first became a Buddhist monk, and then he exchanged into Indian dress and became a follower of Hinduism. He wrote many books, but in the later part of his life, he returned to America and he settled in California, giving lectures and talks on his experience in India. He died in a road crash in California in 1984. I hope you liked this small video on Alfred Sørensen and are motivated to find out more about him. Thank you for watching this video, and keep coming back to this channel for many more interesting videos on India, its culture, and people who have made it their home and have developed deep association with it, and to find a dollop of inspiration yourself. Keep watching. Thank you very much.